I'm honouring the spooky season with some extra videos this month. Let's get into it. Hello, hello, hello. Happy spooky season to you. I hope you are doing very, very well. My name is Angel, if we haven't met before, and if we have, you know the drill. You're very welcome back to this space, especially during spooky season. Okay, so today we are doing a VR to Afton with a Z. They released a video recently, which was perfectly timed, I've just got to say, hashtag trick or treat. They tagged me. If they hadn't tagged me, I would still be doing this VR because it's totally up my alley. I'm loving it. We've got 15 prompts and I'm not going to do any more chatting. I'm instead going to show you a couple of my very favourite spooky season decks. Let's get into it. So kicking it off with prompt number 1, we are looking at the Trick, which is a deck that always seems a bit mischievous, and I chose the Deviant Moon for this prompt. These are the backs. This was originally bordered and I cut the borders off. I want to say this was my original, my first second-hand deck that I purchased on eBay. This deck is so cheeky, it's mischievous, it's a wee bit sassy, I have to say. I'm going to also be honest and say that this is not just a spooky deck for me. I use this all throughout the year with my darker decks, and I have tried to pair it and use it for several different things that I've been working with, and it's just not interested. It doesn't want to know me, this deck. It's like, whatever, Trevor, I've got no time for this malarkey. So I wonder if this deck feels to me that it needs something more serious than what I'm asking it. Although saying that, I don't ask my decks, what should I buy at the shops today? Or, what should I do tomorrow? I don't tend to ask those kind of questions. I'm asking, what can I do to empower myself? Or what can I do to help my personal growth this month? Or, I'm feeling awful. What can I do? And this deck's like, whatever, I'm not interested in that. I've got no time for your, peasant questions. I'm too busy. Yeah, a bit like that. My boy totally agrees. So I just don't think this one's found its question yet, or it's just, I haven't given the morsel of juiciness to this deck that it wants to help me as yet. When I first got this through, I've mentioned this in a different video, when I first got this deck through, it had a very, very weird energy. And of course I was a newbie when I got this deck through. Don't get me wrong, I'm a newbie now. I totally class myself still as a newbie, which I will probably still do in 10 years' time. But I do, I was much more of a newbie then, and the energy was just like really weird. So I actually cleansed this deck card for card, which I've never done with another deck that I've gotten through the post or secondhand or even purchased new. So maybe this deck holds that against me. I don't know. Maybe I need to do some kind of ritual with it during the October season to become friends with this deck. Let me ask this deck. Let's see what it comes up with. How does this deck feel about me? How does this deck feel about me? Or what does this deck feel about me? Okay, we're going to go with these. The King of Cups, the Ace of Swords, and the Nine of Wands. Oh dear. Well, this looks like totally me. Okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, maybe it heard my ritual idea and it likes it. Ooh, do you like my ritual idea? Does the ritual idea, float your boat? Judgment. Ooh, time for second chances. Ooh, pastures new. Ooh, this is a possibility. Okay, let's move on to prompt number 2. So the treat. Prompt number 2 is the treat. The deck you gorge on once a year. The deck you gorge on once a year. That's got to be this one. So I chose 78 Tarot Halloween. These are the backs, which I think are delectable. Can you just see this? I don't know if this is called spot gloss. I don't know what it's called. But it's very, very nice. Very, very nice indeed. Let's turn the cards over. Mine were edged when I got them. This was a second-hand deck that I found on a buy trade sale group. Most impressed. And this is my designated deck for this season. I'm very, very excited about using it. I'm very excited, very excited. Okay, so this is by 78 different artists, and the artwork is beautiful. In all of the cards, I've got to say, I don't think I've gone through the deck several times, obviously. Shuffled it, you know, been using it. I don't think there's a card that I've come upon that I haven't liked. I love this. I love this. And I love, look, there's a hand here. Is this a wolf? Is this like a werewolf? I don't know. This feels like a rib cage to me, but I don't know. I don't know, but I like it a lot. Look at this. And I'm sorry, I'm going to give a bit of a warning for clowns, but look. Ooh, and I love this perspective looking down on this poor person. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. I've got my boy beside me just in case you can hear him purring, because he's purring quite loudly. Aren't you cheeky squeaky? He's sitting on my swivel chair next to me, you know, in comfort, and I'm relegated to the floor. I think, yeah, I really like this. I so like it. The cardstock is beautiful as well. It's like rose petally. And obviously I'm going to gorge myself silly on this deck this month. I'm going to make the most of the season. Ooh, look. The Four of Cups. That's beautiful. Yes, so I'm going to be gorging myself silly on this deck. I love this Knight of Cups. And that's fantastic. Oh, sorry, a main camera shot. I don't even know. I'm too busy looking at my boy beside me, purring his head away. So yes, love, 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 love. And this is an exceptional card, an exceptional choice in my humble opinion for the High Priestess. I blooming love that. So yes, this is one that I'm definitely going to be gorging myself on this season. Sorry, this reminds me of Johnny Depp. Now I've seen it. I'm not going to be able to unsee that. Let's move along to prompt number 3. So prompt number 3, the Bat, a deck that flies over your head. And I chose the Tarot of Vampires, actually, by Ian Daniels. I've edged mine in black. This, unfortunately, is an out-of-print deck right at the minute, but I'm sure it's going to come back, so don't worry, it'll be back in, I'm sure it will be back in print very, very soon. It's not the deck that goes over my head, it's the guide, not the guidebook, but there's like lots of gorgeousness in this guidebook. Let me show you the contents page. And while I'm doing that, should I open up a few cards? Can I see if I can multitask? Do you think I can fix that? Might be able to. Depends. Okay, so we've got obviously we've got, you know, all the descriptions about the major and minor arcana. However, we've also got like quite a lot about the Kabbalah, and we've also got the Tree of Life and things like that. And at some point, or you know, in the beginning, that kind of information really flew over my head. I have been recently doing a bit of a study about the Tree of Life and Kabbalah, and looking at the Tree of Life from the witch's perspective, I'm going to say, which, you know, resonates for me. Can I just say I love this card. I really love that card. I had an amazing experience with this deck back in January. I used this deck for Kelly Bear's Tarot Advent project, which I continued with once I'd finished the initial project in December. I decided to do it one more time in January with this deck, and I had such an amazing experience with it. And before that, I hadn't really connected with this deck. So actually, sorry, just FYI, this is not a spooky season deck for me either. This is an all year round dark aesthetics deck, which I love to bring out for readings. I don't always go to the guidebook. Sometimes I just go intuitively. But the more I read about the Tree of Life and Kabbalah and that kind of thing, the more the guidebook entries are resonating for me, and the more I'm understanding. You know, because you know, researching and exploring different paths and different avenues and different rabbit holes opens up a whole new world to us, does it not? So yes, this is the deck that I chose as the Bat deck, which sometimes flies over my head, but you know, is starting to make a little bit more sense within my practice. Prompt number 4, the Crystal Ball deck, the deck that always reveals something from the mist. Ooh. Oh, I bashed the camera, sorry. Okay, I chose the Bloodlands Oracle. This is a mass market deck. Might be a bit of a strange, what's the word, choice? I'm going to let you read the back if you'd like to. But it was actually the images that made me think of this, you know, the messages through the mist. Because a lot of these, for instance, this one, feels quite misty to me. Sorry, I didn't show the backs. Let me just show the backs. These are the backs. These also feel quite misty to me. And this could be, it's not. But, you know, it reminds me of a crystal ball. And you've got this, like, you know, radiance coming off of it. It's not a crystal ball. This deck was edged out the box in red. Yes, I haven't really gotten so much into this one. I paired it a little bit with the Alchemical Tarot when I first got it. I like the elemental symbols on here. The only thing I don't like about this is that I need to go to the guidebook, obviously. And the guidebook, although the guidebook is very good, I do feel a bit tied to the guidebook. I recently thought that this deck might pair really nicely with the Citadel Oracle and the new deck, the Endless Oracle, that I got into my collection. And this might be a really great deck to use for creative writing, to like set the scene. Oh, I mean, look at this, the old bridge, the ancient forest, the burn. I think it's got this real potential. Twilight. Oh, don't you think? The footpath, the tomb. Come on, the cavern, the stone circle. Oh, we're going to stop on this one. The crossroads. They would make fantastic scenes for, you know, what's the word? Creative writing, I think. That's just my humble opinion. Anyway, that was my answer for prompt number 4. Again, just FYI, this is not a spooky deck for me. I'm really sorry. You know, I like my dark decks. So all these decks that you're seeing, pretty much decks I use all year round. If they are just for Halloween, I will point those out instead of the ones that are for all year round. Else I'll be here all day. Let's get to the next prompt. Prompt number 5 is the Spider's Web, a deck that ensnares you in the tail it spins. This might be a bit of a strange choice, but yeah, I'll explain. Let me explain. So I chose Tarot V. This is a mass market deck by Lo Scarabeo. These are the backs, which I think are gorgeous. I've edged mine to look like crumbling architecture, like crumbling stone that's come down and the dust that's settling around it. It makes sense to me in my brain. It made sense at the time when I edged the deck. I promise you, I blooming love this deck. The prompt was a deck that ensnares you. I wouldn't use the word ensnares. However, when I first purchased this deck, it wrapped me up. This deck like wrapped me in a, not in its grasp, but like in its embrace. I'm going to say that, definitely. In its embrace, with the story of my inner mausoleum that I speak about a lot, which is my inner work that I do, my personal growth work that I do, and the ghosts that are hiding in that inner mausoleum. So it totally swept me up. It really did. It like swept me off my feet with this tale. It was amazing, and it still is amazing. I still love this deck. I don't want to say, I was going to say something else, but I'm not, because that's going to be a spoiler, so I'm not going to say that. But you know, I do use this all the year round. I did kind of buy it on not on a whim, that's the wrong thing to say. There was this nudge when I saw it on Lindsay's channel, Silver Crow Tarot, and I didn't really know why I was bringing it into my collection. But once I bought it in and I opened the deck, and I was like, oh, honestly, it blew me off my feet. It blew my hair back. I was like, wow. And I'm so glad that I brought this into my collection. I'm so glad I have it in my collection. I absolutely love this deck. It's a trusted deck, and I don't think I think of it as vampires really, although obviously it is vampires, but I don't really think about it as that. And this is a really deep deck to me, actually. You know, its messages are incredible. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love the aesthetics. I love it. Yes, we're moving on to the next prompt. The next prompt is the Potion, a deck that isn't super appealing, but you know it works. Okay. We've got a bit of a. I'm having a bit of a different take on this prompt. You know, as usual, I'm going rogue. Let's get into it. Now, hear me out before you get the wrong end of the stick. The spookies, before you get the wrong end of the spooky stick. This is the Divine Muses Oracle. The prompt was a super that isn't super appetizing. or appealing. I can't read my writing, but you know it works. This is a super appealing, appetizing deck to me. I think it's absolutely splendocious. It's beautiful. This is the mass market French version. There was an indie version. I think it's possibly out of print. I'm going to read the box because you don't want to see the box. I think you might want to see the cards. This speaks to me of spooky season, and I'm currently using it now with a group of selection of decks that I'm absolutely having a ball with. I'm loving them. What is possibly not as appealing to me is the fact that this deck is in a different language, which means that I need to go to the guidebook to translate the keywords and even the guidebook. The guidebook is amazing, I think, in my humble opinion. I love it, and I think it's worth the effort. I mean, what is the effort really to press a button and translate? But it is worth that little bit of extra effort to translate the guidebook. But that might be unappealing to some peeps. I love this. Blooming love that card. So that might be that's what I was kind of that's the twist that I went with on this prompt. That might be a little bit unappetizing or not so appealing with a deck in a different language. But let me tell you, it's totally worth it. I totally love this deck. I'm totally having a blooming spooky ball with this deck this month, along with a couple of others in my collection. And I wouldn't be without it. It definitely comes out at this time of year. I've noticed a pattern pretty much every year. But would I class it as a spooky deck? I wouldn't. This reminds me of Henry Cavill. I've said that before. Yeah, I would bring this out, I would possibly even bring this out in like maybe winter time as well. But I think it's super duper fantastic. And we're going to stop right there. Okay, let's move on to the next prompt, which is prompt number 7, the Cauldron, a deck that makes you feel like you're brewing up something witchy. Ooh, let's get to it. I chose the Sacred Hags Oracle. This is fantastic. This is Danielle Dulski, who writes the guidebook, and the illustrations are by Janine Houseman. I think there's a book first that came out, and then the cards came out with the deck, with the guidebook. Sorry, and I haven't read the book, so I can't really answer, about what that's about. Babble. Let's get on with the cards. But I think the guidebook to this Oracle deck is amazing. I think the cards are amazing. This feels witchy to me. It feels ancestral. It feels like the female line of my ancestors is coming through to me. Wild, feral. What's another word that I'm looking for? With some, I actually get a bit of not an inner rage, but like a rage from this deck, but like in a constructive kind of way. They're taking control over maybe power that wasn't given to them when they were on this realm. That's the energy I get from this deck. Yeah, it really is. And for that reason, it feels really, it feels really witchy to me. It feels, as mentioned, feral and wild. And the guidebook helps along with the whole the feeling of witchiness, because I've mentioned this previously as well. If I open here, for instance, the Blackthorn Altar, you've got the grandmother speaks, which I think also helps with the, I might have a shot, sorry. I think this helps with the ancestral vibe I get from this deck, but not like, it's not a grandmother that's, a little old lady. It's this grandmother that's taken back their power, that has, that's got this rage somewhere behind them, I think. And this gumption and this fighting spirit. I love it. I really love it. And what makes it feel witchy to me is the morning or the evening moonlight ritual. So we've got the morning ritual and we've got a moonlight ritual, and it's that makes it feel really witchy and really powerful and potent and delicious. So yeah. Oh, I can never put my finger on this deck. And when I try, well, I can when I get out of my practice, when I use it, but when I'm trying to explain it on camera, I never get across what I want to say. And I'm getting closer. Each time I get this deck out and explain it, I'm getting closer. That was the closest I've come to this, to explain this deck, how this deck feels for me. I love this. But I'm still missing the vocabulary for it. So fingers crossed, the next time this deck will come out, I will nail it. Okay, let's move on to the next prompt. So prompt number 8, the Jack-o'-lantern, a deck that makes you want to divine by candlelight. Oh, that's got to be this one. This is the Gothic Witches Oracle, 40-card deck. Yeah, I'm going to give a bit of a trigger warning here because some of the images are a little bit... Oh, what's the word? Well, triggering, actually. I'm going to say definitely triggering. So, skip to the timestamp here if you want to. If you don't want to see this one, this is a mass market deck, and I was really impressed with this as a mass market deck because it really does step away from, I think, what we've seen before. To be honest, I've edged mine in black. Okay, so yes, I'll see you in the next prompt if you don't want to look at the images of this one. And I do understand that you might not want to, but I find this deck very, very potent. I haven't done as much work with it as I'd like to. It's not a spooky deck. It's a deck I get out the whole year round, and no doubt it will be out very soon, very, very soon again. It might even make an appearance in October. I don't know. I can't tell you that. But at the minute, we haven't worked as deeply as I want to with this deck. But I find the images very, very interesting. I think the key phrases on these cards are really interesting. I'm going to show a couple more cards and then we're going to move along because I can't really say so much. Performing blood magic, I love that. Creating dark art, blooming love that. Assembling an esoteric symbol. It's just, the key phrase or the key titles I've never seen on any other deck before, and I've never seen this kind of imagery in like a mass market deck before either. I got this one after I'd got the Cave of Sybil. I was like, I was going for the decks that really push my buttons. I want the decks that push my buttons, that make me feel uncomfortable. I want to feel uncomfortable. I just want to feel punkt slut, basically. Shattering the mental prison. Love it. Okay, last one. Divining the unknown. So yeah, Gothic Witches Oracle. Need to get more into this one. I think this is going to be a bit of a heavy one. Heavier one in any case. So yeah. So that's it. Let's move on to the next prompt. The next prompt is, prompt number 9, obviously. Prompt number 9, the Black Cat, the deck that the deck that lurks around the edges of your collection. That's got to be this one. Unfortunately, this is the Lilith Oracle, Queen of the Night Oracle Grimoire. I backed this on Kickstarter and I haven't used it yet. They were edged out of the box in black. These are the cards. I love the colour combination, red, black and white. I mean, it's just like chef's blooming kiss. Now, I was working with Lilith. I don't know what is time my practice. I can't tell you that, but I did do some work with Lilith. But that's got to be like, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago now. I'm not really sure, to be honest. As mentioned, what is time? However, I recently purchased a book which was recommended to me by a subscriber in my comment section, sorry, which is a book by Nikki Marmory, I think their name is. Let me grab the book. Wait, it's just here. Lilith, which is all about the story of Lilith and rescuing Eve from the Garden of Eden, and getting the truth out. So I wonder if that might help with this work. I might be able to work with those two together. So although it's a black cat and it's lurking about right at the minute, I think it's gonna have its time in the spotlight very, very soon. Let's stop on this one because that's delicious. Prompt number 10, the Moon, a deck that casts shadows in its wake. Ooh, let's get to it. the Reclaim Oracle. No takesy backies. Also, this is most definitely the deck that casts the longest shadow for me. And the most difficult shadows, actually, if you can believe that. Mine's edged out the box, which I'm sure yours was as well if you purchased this deck. It's an indie deck. This is a really hard-hitting, in my opinion, that's how I experience this deck. It's a hard-hitting Oracle deck. I've spoken before about this can put me into like a spiral of like not feeling very good, unfortunately, which is not the deck's fault. That's just where I've been when I've taken this deck forward and used it. So after those experiences, I've been very careful how and when I use this deck in my collection. I did recently use this back in, I think it was at the beginning of September. And what I usually do is I usually shuffle the cards and then like choose a jumper. But this time I went through the deck and intentionally chose the cards that really resonated for me and felt relevant to how I was feeling at the time. And there was a lot of like, you know, dare I say, shadow feelings that, or shadow cards that I pulled in, intentionally. And then I journaled around what the feelings were and why I was feeling it and what the incident was or what had happened to bring up those feelings. And that was a really great way to use this deck, actually. So I think I'm learning how this deck works for me best in my practice. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. But generally I find this one quite hard hitting, and I think it's because I'm not very good at maybe looking at things. I'm very good at squirreling them away in a Pandora's box, as I like to call it, which I thought at one time I had opened up and released, but released, which clearly I haven't. So you know, I'm very good at storing things instead of processing them, which I'm really trying to be better at. Yes, that was my answer to this prompt. So we're on prompt number 11, the broomstick, a deck that whisks you away to another place. Ooh, let's get to it. That's got to be the Endless Oracle. This was a deck that I got secondhand, luckily, on eBay, sorry, very, very recently. I used this deck in September, I want to say, with a great selection of decks. Really enjoyed it. And this deck totally whisks me away to different places because, you know, it feels like, you know, there's all these different landscapes in this deck for me. Again, I mentioned recently in a video that I feel that this deck, the Bloodlands Oracle and even the Citadel Oracle, would be a great way to create some creative writing. That doesn't make sense, but you know what I'm saying, right? Using those three decks as a pairing to write. I'm not a writer. I'm not looking to write a book or anything, or any kind of professional book. I can't think of the word. my language is worse than usual, if that's even possible. But I do really enjoy creative writing, and I do find that it unlocks doors for me and feelings inside me which I didn't realise I had when I use creative writing in that way. So yeah, this totally whisked me away to a different plane. Love it. Love this dog figure. Oh, so yes, so there we go. So that was my question, my answer to question number 11. Let's move on to prompt number 12, which is the spellbook, the deck with the most enchanting guidebook. I think you're going to guess this one. Maybe not. Let's get to it. I had to go with guidebook from The Cave of Sybil by Tira May. I love this guidebook. It you know, spellbook kind of totally gave it away for me. And I wouldn't say, I'm going to have to tweak again this prompt. I wouldn't say this is the most enchanting, but this is definitely the most powerful, potent guidebook. This is exactly what it says on the cover. It's a spellbook. Can I just give you a bit of an idea? So we've got your appetite for death and the taste of its mouth. Eat the teeth of the skull. Its black base bones washed in velvet sleep. This would have also worked for the Jack-o'-lantern prompt, reading by candlelight. The what's the word? the keywords are on the back for this deck. I'm going to show you a couple of cards. I've shown it before. I will show it again. I blooming love this deck. It's totally not a spooky deck, and it's not for the faint of heart. The faint of heart. I love this deck. I want to go into the woods with this deck and go. I've mentioned this recently. I want to go skyclad. I want to, you know, build a massive fire. I want to get some kind of animal skull with horns as a mask and dance around this fire, speaking ancient incantations and, you know, creating workings. Oh, I want to cover myself in, you know, in dirt and just with wild hair and move around the fire. Oh, gorgeous. I love this deck. Love it. But again, as mentioned, it's not for the faint of heart. But I do find it very, very supportive. And it's a keystone. Is that the word? In my practice, most definitely. We're moving on to prompt number 13. Unlucky for some. The Vampire. A deck that transformed your very being. Ooh, that's got to be this beauty. I think it's this one. It's not a vampire deck, but it definitely meets the prompt, I think. This is the Darkwood Tarot. I used this, was it got to be almost 2 years ago now? Goodness me, time flies when you're having fun. What is time in my practice? These are edged in black, which I did myself. And I still haven't edged that red card that's still peeking at me. It's like pointing at me, laughing, you know, because I haven't edged it yet. This is another cornerstone of my practice. It really is. I adore this deck. It's not a spooky deck for me. I said I wasn't going to say that, but I've got to give this kind of disclaimer. This is a deck that I use for inner facets of self-work. I think it's absolutely amazing. This is the deck that brought through my red bonnet inner wolf facets, this duality within me, this duality that is unbalanced, this what's it called, this like warring of control within myself, the fact that these two different sides of myself that are warring to gain control, which is what I'm working with now, and it's ongoing. This deck sits in pride of place on my self-love facets of self-altar, and it comes up very, very often, actually, to be quite honest, still. Hence the reason it's not in its box. I don't go to the guidebook for this one. I read this very intuitively, and it reads really, really well for me. I can trust this 100%. I think it's a fantastic deck. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I talk about it so often on my channel. I'm so sorry. Okay, prompt number 14, the Haunted House. A deck that scares you with how scarily accurate it is, or it can be. Ooh, ooh, oh. The only conceivable answer was the Cries of the Souls Oracle. This is a mass market deck. I've sung the praises of this deck on several occasions recently. These are the backs, and this is one of the only decks that I have recommended on my channel, actually, to be honest. I think this is amazing. The artwork is quite clean, and I want to say simple, but I don't mean that in a negative way. You know, it's just quite, you know, it's easy on the eyes, I think. I think the key phrases, the key words are thought-provoking. I think they are great jump-off points to journal with. The guidebook is phenomenal. Again, this is all my opinion, so, you know, take it with a pinch of salt if you'd like to. I'm going to show you the guidebook, actually, because I'm a bit of a rebel like that. And I'm going to let you just, you know, read an entry. Let's go with this one. Let's go with Personal Karma. I haven't read this one. I haven't received this card in a reading, but I just want to give you a bit of an idea. So you've got the wisdom, the supplement, and the warning. And this is the same for all the cards. If you'd like to read, pause. And I've mentioned before, this deck doesn't just bring something forward to you and like throw it in your lap and, like, you know, turn on its heels and walk away. This deck, I feel, helps you kind of find your way forward with the thing that it brings forward to you. So yeah, for that reason, this is a great deck, and it is scarily accurate. Scarily accurate, that sometimes when I pull cards, you know, it's like it's digging out stuff within me that I wasn't even aware of, or you know, I didn't realize I was even ready to face. That's how scarily accurate this deck is for me. So yes, yeah. There was no other answer to this prompt. Okay, moving on to prompt number 15, the final prompt, the tombstone, the deck you would take with you to the grave. Well, can I just say, I'm currently looking into getting planning permission to build my own mausoleum, so that when I leave this realm, I can be like one of those, you know, like not the same, but like an Egyptian pharaoh, where I can have all my decks, transported to my mausoleum and be buried with me. So you know they'll all be boxed up and pop beside me, and I could maybe have like some crystals and some of my witchy bits and pieces that I love, boxed up and put beside me in my mausoleum for the afterlife, But of course, if the planning permission doesn't go forward with the local council, which it's not gonna, because I don't think I'm ever going to build a mausoleum, where I am at the minute, then I don't think I could choose one deck. But I think I could choose three. If I could, if I would be allowed to choose three, I'm going to choose these three. This is going to come of no surprise to you if you've been on my channel for any length of time. We've got the Darkwood Tarot, which I've just shown you. We've got the Tarot V, which I've just shown you, and the Cave of Sybil, which I've just shown you. And if I could be super cheeky squeaky, I would even bring this one along, because I might need it in the afterlife. Sorry, I'm not good at following rules. So 1 became 4, which probably could become 10, actually, to be quite frank. I'm going to thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to thank you so much to Afton for an excellent tag and some really fun prompts. This was so much fun. As mentioned, if they hadn't tagged me, I would have done this tag anyway, because it just lit my candle. When I was watching their response, or their video, sorry, I was like, oh, I was already, pulling forward the decks in my mind that I would use for the prompts. So yes, what say you? May I give you a prompt? Would you mind answering it? I'm going to give you prompt number 9, which is the Black Cat, the deck that lurks around the edges of your collection. Ooh, could you answer that in the prompt in the comment section for me? Let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to thank you so much for spending some time with me. Have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Happy spooky season to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Toodaloo.